Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rosanna Tufts of RewriteYourStars.com, and welcome to my Spotlight series of unusual Jyotish charts, where I teach you about how unique features of a person's life are reflected in the layout of the planets at the time of the person's birth. Almost any chart can be considered unusual in some way, because we all have unique karmas that we are trying to work out in our current incarnations. For today's chart, we're going to look at someone that I knew very well. My mother. Beautiful, wasn't she? This picture was taken in the early 1960s when she was about 30. Beautiful, but not necessarily at ease. That pose was very studied, very controlled. She was born on September 12, 1931, in Boston. But I actually do not have an accurate birth time for her. All she knew is what her mother told her, which was that it was the hottest day of the year, which led her to believe that she must have been born sometime in the afternoon. So I have rectified her birth time for approximately 2:15 p.m., which would give her a Scorpio ascendant. That's the one that seems to make the most sense, because these placements overall do not form any Raja Yogas, the combination that confers fame and accomplishment in one's own right. What it does show is that she was extremely fortunate in whom she married. That's my dad, looking very much the presidential banker type. I'll do his chart in a separate video. So how do you see my mother's fortunate marriage? Jupiter represents the husband in a woman's chart. And how amazing is this Jupiter? It rules the second house of security and the fifth house of children, landing in the ninth house of luck. Now, whenever you see the rulers of the second, fifth, ninth, or 11th houses landing in any of those houses, you get what's called a Dana Yoga, a combination that confers wealth. Here, Jupiter forms a Dana Yoga twice over because it rules two of the wealth houses. It counts for both. Ruler of the ninth house is the moon, which lands in the 11th house of gains and highest worldly ambitions, forming another Dana Yoga. So all four wealth houses are in play here. Even better, Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer, and it stands alone. It is neither hemmed nor aspected by any malefic planets. It casts a one-way trine upon the ascendant, very favorable position, showing how much she benefited from her husband. Another indicator of the spouse in anyone's chart, male or female, is the ruler of the seventh house of the marriage partner. Here, Taurus goes across the seventh house, which is ruled by Venus, which lands where? In the 10th house of career, showing how she rose in status through her marriage partner. Something else to notice about these wealth houses? What planet occupies the fifth? Rahu, one of the two eclipse points. Now, every woman I know who has Rahu in the fifth, myself included, tends to have a history of reproductive issues. Either they don't have any children at all, or if they do get lucky, they have only one child. It's a girl who is hypnotically beautiful. Here again, Jupiter, being the planet of children, is the key to modifying that karma, because Rahu receives the other one-way trine from Jupiter. They're both in water signs, Rahu in Pisces, Jupiter in Cancer. And of course, Scorpio, the ascendant, is also a water sign. I expect this is the reason why she actually got pregnant relatively quickly, within that first year after she married my dad. The other part of the prophecy still held true, however. She had only one girl child. I don't know about being hypnotically beautiful, but certainly I was in her eyes. So you'd think, well, gee, that's great, right? I mean, considering how much trouble so many of the rest of us have in finding the right marriage partner, it's like she won the lottery. Careful. What else is going on in this chart? Check out this mashup of planets in the 10th and 11th houses. Bam! Solar eclipse. Now it's only a partial because it's a wide orb that straddles Leo and Virgo, and it was only visible over Alaska, so nobody in Boston would have noticed or cared. Which is why I didn't figure this out until long after she died. But the moon is right in between the sun and K2, the other eclipse point. Now, what does K2 do to a person? It's the part of us that wants everything to be perfect. But perfection cannot be found in things of this world. K2 tends to be sharply critical anyway. But in Virgo, it's especially difficult, because what's Virgo all about? Noticing every detail, finding everything that's wrong. How well do you think that's going to support the moon's prime directive of being peaceful and finding tranquility? Not so much, right? Her grip on serenity was fragile even at the best of times. People who are born on solar eclipses can become very control freaky because they feel so vulnerable. The slightest little thing can disrupt their sense of inner peace, and so they feel like they have to control all of these externals to keep those disruptions from happening, or fight like crazy to keep them from invading. What planet immediately precedes the moon? Venus, planet of beauty, high culture, art, gracious manners. Her psyche said, yes, give me all of those things. Which was great if she was actually getting Venus stuff like operas and symphonies. But what about all the other times? She wanted to slam the door on anything or anyone that was low class because they felt so slimy to her. Her overriding emotion was disgust. The moon K2 conjunction in fastidious Virgo ruled her Jupiter, planet of the lofty Brahman, making elitist arrogance her fatal flaw. Now take one last look at those eclipse points. K2 in Virgo causing the solar eclipse, and Rahu in Pisces, and set them against this chart. That's not her husband's chart, it's mine. What do you notice about the nodes here? They're exactly the reverse of my mother's. Rahu in Virgo, K2 in Pisces. This is actually a pretty healthy placement. It lends itself to a kind of practical mysticism. And in fact, Rahu and K2 are in these signs right now for the rest of 2015. But when you compare them to someone who has the opposite position, exacerbated by my Taurus ascendant directly opposite her Scorpio one, and you've got a recipe for intergenerational conflict that neither of us understood at the time. Everything that she abhorred, I was fascinated by, and vice versa. You'll be able to read that story in fuller form in my forthcoming book, Blue Blood, Green Heart. Check out the link below to find out how you can order your advance copy. Thank you, and remember, awareness cancels all karmas.